Ready?
Yep.
Intro, jingle. Welcome everybody. You're listening to the 3.4%, the show where we talk about our research on the hypersexualization of queer women in media.
We started this research as part of our senior seminar class at Shippensburg University, and you're about to see how it turned out.
We looked at different forms of media, namely TV shows, movies, and TikTok, and the portrayals of queer women within those mediums.
Some examples of popular movies or TV shows that were brought up or talked about specifically in our interviews and research include Sex and the City, The L Word, Pose, Blue is the Warmest Color, The Fosters, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Orange is the New Black, and Grey's Anatomy.
We started out by seeking out research that has already been done about this topic through the lens of feminist theory and the male gaze, which are topics explored by Judith Butler and Laura Mulvey, respectively.
In Laura Mulvey's article, Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema, she describes women in their traditional exhibitionist role as simultaneously looked at and displayed with their appearance coded for strong visual and erotic impact. And in a world ordered by sexual imbalance, pleasure in looking has been split between active male and passive female. So while queer women don't exist for the purpose of male pleasure, the patriarchal society we live in perceives them as doing just that. In Samantha DiCapo's article, Bisexual Women's Experience with Bi-Negativity in Romantic Relationships, she mentions objectification theory and how it suggests that women are sexually objectified and are valued in terms of their physical appearance and their body's sexual functions as intended for men's sexual desire.
Going back to Maya Wrighty's article, The Rainbow Effect, she explains how oftentimes in mass media, the queer woman participates in sexual acts, but never in the context of a real relationship. However, we aim to examine the rise of media platforms like TikTok and how queer women are increasingly exposed to more realistic content that's not focused on the sex and sexuality. In Anna Marie Storti's research study, Reconceptualizing the Normative, a glimpse into the radical and ultimate failure of queer politics, she found that over time, as more and more lesbians begin to surface in films, television shows, and magazines, this specific increase of lesbian identity was criticized as somewhat of a fad rather than a move towards equal representation. In the DiCapo article, it's discussed how women who identify as bisexual are simultaneously criticized by straight society for being too queer and by gay society for being too straight. So having this positive, inspiring, and welcoming community on the internet is an amazing thing to have, especially for youth who are questioning or just now discovering their sexual identities.
Whether we know it or not, we can consciously and subconsciously find meaning from signs and symbols created by how we present ourselves. And what's so interesting to me is I don't think every generation would be able to understand these signifiers, so they almost act as a secret code.
Well, what's the secret code? Flannels,
Short nails,
button-ups,
denim jackets,
white Vans,
absolutely larger than life glasses,
undercuts,
chains,
eyebrow slits,
thumb rings,
more adventurous hair colors,
cuffed jeans or cuffed sleeves on a shirt,
lots of tattoos,
basketball shorts,
a good blazer,
Doc Martens,
beanies,
and of course, wearing rainbows.
To bring in additional voices, we interviewed some old and new friends who helped give us insight into their experiences with hypersexualization as queer women. Katie McKinley, an undergrad student at Shippensburg University.
I think that's the most dangerous aspect of mass media. It's not intended to directly reflect our lives and to perfectly represent us. It's meant to give us what we think we want, or it's meant to tell us what we are supposed to want.
Dr. Nicole Santalucia, a professor at Shippensburg University.
But anyway, so as far as social media, I don't know. I don't use social media all that much. I have my little Facebook account that I do like my monthly post. And I do have Instagram and I post occasionally pictures of like my cats, like I'm that person. But I just never really felt, and when I was younger, it was like AOL Instant Messenger. And I didn't, it was like, I still have my AOL account. I'm so proud of that. It's like 30 years old.
Dr. Stephanie Gerard, a current administrator and former professor at Shippensburg.
I will say that when I raised my children, I raised them without a TV in the house, because I did find that most media or shows are racist, they're sexist, they're misogynist, they're ableist, they're fattest. Everything about humor is made at the expense of somebody's difference. If you look at the jokes, and I wasn't going to have that in my house. I wasn't going to invite that into my house.
Victoria Williams and Lindsay Benny.
Being in an LGBT community is not like the movies. It's not all about hookups and making out, or, like it's just like you're doing normal couple things. You're figuring out how to love each other. You're figuring out how to be with that person and how to plan a future. It's not just hookup life. I think that's a big thing.
Another undergrad student we spoke to, Bree Shiano,
it's definitely a thing. I feel like if anything, it's more of a spectrum than just, oh, I'm 100% this or I'm 100% that. And I wish people took that into account more and were more open to that way of thinking, because I think in our society, we do focus a lot on spectrums and the black and the white and not the gray area. But gray areas are so, so important because the majority of people fall within that gray area.
When we started on this journey of examining the hypersexualization of queer women in media, I was skeptical of how accurate these depictions of queer women were. And I think through talking to the people we interviewed and reading texts like Mulvey, Butler, DiCapua, Storti, Rafauf, and Reddy, I've only become more aware of the inaccuracies and stereotypes perpetuated in mass media. On the other hand, it was so interesting to discover the leaps and bounds made by individual creators like Haley Kiyoko, Lindsay Benny, and Victoria Williams, who have taken back their image as queer women and worked against the male gaze.
Oh, absolutely. Representation of queer women has come so far, but as we've seen, there's still so much work to do. Dismantling the male gaze, reclaiming our bodies as texts, and dismantling the hypersexualization of queer women in media. Young queer women should not have to grow up feeling like their identities are invalid or exist only for male entertainment or pleasure. They deserve to watch a movie or TV show and see a character where they can say, "Oh my God, that's me." And that's exactly what I want society to work towards.
Exactly. And I think our goal for this whole project and putting it together as a podcast was to help shed light on the problems of the past and examine the intricate complexities of these issues. And along the way, by reaching out to the queer community and looking at what various scholars had to say, I think we've become better advocates for accurate representation.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm Andrea Kling.
And I'm Tori Helfrick.
We hope you had as much fun listening as we did while making this. Wherever you are, whatever day it is, go change the world.